Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach Joel Elston and Alex King. Today is Thursday, August the 1st. Oh my God, August the 1st, 2019. It is 8 a.m. in New York and 5 a.m. in Los Angeles. That would be 1 p.m. in London and 9 p.m. in Tokyo, 10 p.m. in Sydney. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy that it's Thursday. It's kind of happy, unhappy in a sense because Louise and I are heading to the Cape. We're heading to Cape Cod over the weekend, which means there will not be a show for either Friday or for Monday. So Friday with Linda and Monday with Louie, those shows are canceled for this week only. We will, of course, pick up with them next time around. But you're going to be dealing without your daily dose of happy for about 4 or 5 day period. I hope you're okay with that. Thank you very much.
Watch the repeats.
Watch the repeats, right? Yes. Listen to the replays. But no, it's all good. And on top of that, I'm actually getting an opportunity to meet with my co-host, Alex. Alex and I, we're getting together.
Yay! We're hanging out.
Lunch. This is great. So Louise and I are going to actually get to talk with Alex, and she's got her friend from Japan. So, I mean, it's going to be like, and another friend from high school. I mean, that house is busy going on right now. Yeah. But it's good stuff. In fact, Alex was telling me before the podcast, she has been laughing so hard that she's practically in pain about it. I mean, she's just laughing and laughing.
It's like if we were on the podcast the entire day.
The entire day. There you go. So when we say a daily dose of happy, we're talking about like, you know,
literal,
like force feeding.
Oh, man.
But it's all good. It's all good. And Joel, of course, is back. Joel, I hope everything is doing really well down in the Richmond, Virginia area.
Was I gone? Well, I'm back. Was I gone?
Well, you're back for the week.
Okay, good. I was just making sure. I'm like, wow, did I miss a week there that I didn't know about? Like to keep up with that, you know. But no, things are really good here in Richmond. We have had, actually, we had that unbelievably hot period. But it's really, cooled down a lot. So, hot, I mean, it's 93, but it's not 103. So,
right.
that makes a big difference. But things are really good. We have a lot of good stuff going on. It's just, exceptionally busy. And that's always a good thing, but at the same time, I'm blessed to have, plenty of clients, and most are making very good progress. So life could not be any better. We're heading down to the bench here in a few weeks for a couple of days, and then we're going to head out to Gatlinburg, Tennessee for a couple of days, and then finish the summer in New York City for a couple of days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw your post about how you and your son were trying to figure out where you were vacationing this year, and you're like, we're going to do all three.
Yes.
Yeah, we out of habit, we end up on Anna Maria Island every time. We go there 3 or 4 times a year, and we love it, and there's just no better place. But, it's like, okay, it's almost like the JetBlue airline makes my reservation automatically for me. And, and we were just talking. I said, well, instead of spending a week or 10 days on the island, why don't we look at, we're going to the island, but we're only going to go down for a day or two, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to hit Gatlinburg for a couple of days. That's more our style, and I like going short trips anyway. And then, I think everybody in the world enjoys New York City for about 48 hours, and they all want to get out.
Facts.
Yeah. It's a great city for 48 hours, and it's the worst city in the world after that. It's the energy's wonderful, then you're like, oh my God, how could you live here?
Right.
But it's such a, I love the concept. I have a lot of friends in New York, but, so it's really exciting. In the middle of that too, I'm going to have some, I get to have some, surgery. I tore an abdominal muscle weightlifting. So I'm going to have a little minor surgery along the way too, but it'll be an in and out procedure that, that was going to go well. But it's all that. We had a very full August.
Apparently.
Yeah, I can tell. By the way, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for alienating all of our New York City listeners. So thank you very much.
Right?
Just lost that chunk.
No problem. As always, any complaints about my comments, or please notify Walt at loatoday.net.
Yeah.
He processes all the complaints.
Yeah.
I always know who my friends are. It's really unfair me. Oh, but it's all good fun. And I have a story. I have a law of attraction story that I told yesterday to Cindy, but I'll also tell to you guys because it's a really good one. As you know, my mom passed away. Our mom passed away on Saturday, PJ and mine. PJ has been her caregiver for the last year. And she passed away Saturday morning. Of course, PJ had to call in, the police and the EMTs and so forth. So they were there for a while. PJ was kind of in shock from the whole thing. She was okay. I mean, she's fine. Just, it's kind of a shocking thing to go through. But anyway, after everyone had moved on and was, she didn't have to deal with all that stuff anymore. Where they live is about 2 blocks from the shoreline, from the beach. In Norfolk, Virginia. And so she walked down to the beach just to kind of de-stress, just to kind of let go of all that stress that comes from such a traumatic event. And so she's just sitting on the beach, and the beach is kind of like pulling the stress out of her body as she's just sitting in the sand. And she's kind of doing like one of these, your mind wanders and you're just kind of exploring all kinds of topics, stream of consciousness kind of thing. And she's, there are various things I've been trying to attract lately. I think I'm going to change one of them. I'm going to change it. I want to start focusing more on being able to manifest things, like on the spot, like foods. Like the story of Jesus, who could manifest bread to feed the multitudes and so forth. Well, she didn't really want bread. The fish. She didn't want the loaves. She wanted the fishes. That was all right. And some vegetables, healthy vegetables and something like that. She wanted to be able to manifest those things. She thought that'd be a really cool thing to do. And within moments, she was sitting there and she heard the sound like rain or hail hitting the water. And she looks up and it's a clear sky. I mean, it's night, but it's a clear sky. And there's no rain. She's like, what the hell is that? So she looks out over the water and she sees this cloud right out in front of her hovering over the water. And that's where the sound is coming from.
Weird.
She walks to the shoreline to see if she can get a better look. And as she gets to the shoreline, what she sees is fish leaping out of the water, splashing as they're leaping. And she's saying, well, I didn't mean right now. I don't want to eat you. Go home to your families. And she was blown away by this. And the best part is she says to me, I don't know if that's a real manifestation. I said, are you kidding? Of course that's a real manifestation.
It definitely is.
So anyway, she just kind of marveled at that. And then she started walking up the beach and the clouds started following her up the beach.
Wow.
It's like, you gotta be kidding. So she now understands and realizes that she is capable of manifesting fish out of nowhere.
Talk about fresh fish.
No kidding. And she's kind of coming to terms with, wow, I really can do this. And that's what she was telling me afterward. I now believe I really can manifest stuff like that out of thin air. And I thought, wow, what a cool event, a cool experience to have,
Yeah.
So just thought I'd share that little bit of a manifestation story that maybe it'll give somebody a pick-me-up today.
Well, that's
awesome.
Reminds me of the dual manifestation that you and I had, Walt, about my cat ears. Because one day,
right, yes.
We were just talking about my cat ears, my original ones that had rhinestones in them, and then Walt said out of nowhere, he was like, "Yeah, the only thing that could top that is if they glowed." And I was like, I don't think they make those, but you know what? I could probably figure something out. And I go to Five Below literally the next day, and it was the only pair on the shelf. And I'm like, wait, I was like, oh, these are cute. They're very Ariana Grande. And then I had to look specifically at them because with the way my mic's set up in my phone, I have to have headphones that don't have a mic already in them. So I was like, okay, if there's no mic in this, I have to have these. And then I found out they glowed, and I was like, get out of town. Stop it. This is crazy. I literally came home, took a selfie, and sent it to Walt. I was like, look what we did. It was crazy.
We are more powerful than we realize.
Yes.
We just really are.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that we learn that, the more we realize it, I think is where we get the confidence.
Yes.
Start, believing, yes, we really can do this, and we learn to do more. I was kind of contemplating that last night, the fact that even those of us who pursue this regularly, we kind of do it in spurts,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to focus. I'm going to start manifesting X. I'm going to really focus on that, and then I forget about the next day.
Right.
And I kind of stop. Like, no, you got to keep going. You got to keep going with it, Or like when Louise and I had a conversation last night where Cindy, of course, is the one I do Neville Goddard stuff with, and Neville's big thing is, especially in the stuff we're reading most lately, is you don't want to just be visualizing yourself from afar. You want to visualize yourself as if you're in the scene.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So the way he explains it is the difference between watching and observing yourself climbing a ladder versus reaching out and feeling the ladder and feeling the rungs under your feet and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we started doing a little visualizing along that line last night. And the comment I made to her was, we got to make sure we do it again tomorrow night. We can't keep doing that same pattern of we did it for one night and then we're done, because you got to do it every single day. You got to just keep after it and keep after it and keep after it if you really want to manifest those quote difficult things. Because you have to change your mindset. It could take a while to change your mindset. Yeah,
you got to cohabitate your habit, man.
I mean, once you get to the point where you truly believe that scene is actually happening, then you don't have to keep doing it anymore.
Right.
You got to get to the point where you believe it.
Right.
And we often forget. I mean, that you don't always get there the first time. It takes a little time sometimes. You have to just keep working until you get there.
Right.
I mean, Joel, when you're coaching your clients, I mean, that's kind of a fine line for you to walk, because on the one hand, you don't want them to make them think that, well, you got to be working this all the time. But on the other hand, you can't just say, well, okay, I just imagined, okay, I'm done. Where is my stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be, as you're saying, all you're doing is creating a tool. All these things are tools to be able to get into the emotional alignment with what we're trying to do. So when you figure out, like you're saying, it isn't just, okay, boy, I want to be there for a second, because that's just a second that the law of attraction is responding. You're using this as a way to really, all this is always about adjusting your vibration to match what you want. And there's millions of ways to do it. But this is one of the techniques of just, let's get there, let's live there, let's be there and live as if, or whatever, live within the scene. It's just, that's why people, there's vision boards, there's all types of things where you literally do it. I do a lot of meditations. Transcendental meditation is one of my meditations, and there could be moments where I can't distinguish between, am I really, I picture myself being on the beach or in a mountain meditating, and now I logically know I'm not there, but I am there on some level. If that makes any sense. And
yeah, it does make sense. The other thing I've noticed too is with this particular technique of imagining that you're really in the scene, that you're a part of it, rather than looking at it from the observer perspective, I find is more exhausting. I find that I get mentally exhausted really quickly by maintaining that very high level of attention, to the point where I've gotten to the point now where I try to do a lot of that before I'm ready to go to sleep, because it's a nice, easy way to go to sleep. Quite effective. It's better than a sleeping pill.
That's you.
That's true. Try it, Alex. You'll like it.
I mean, I'm with the whole, I feel what you guys are saying, but at the same time, I'm that personality who's like, okay, I tried, not manifesting, I tried meditation once, it didn't work, I'm out, guys. I'm like, no, I just can't, my brain races so much, I can't do it. But I know you guys are going to be like, but that's fine.
Well, but that's what I went through for years until I understood that. That's why the book that I have posted recently, and I'm dropping the name of it, but it's about, it is about a meditation and a manifestation technique. And she goes into great detail of explaining my transcendental meditation. Let's say I'm using, the as my thought. You don't say the sound out loud. You think it to yourself over and over for 15 minutes. My normal thing is wonder what my day will be like. And then it goes way over here, and then I'm thinking about Om. That's a weird word. What do they call it? Om. I want to go to Nepal. I wonder what the flights cost in Nepal.
Seriously.
Do they have electricity? Yeah. Do they have electricity in Nepal? And then it's like, Om. I got to get Justin up. And then but see, the concept is what most people have a hard time with understanding is the concept is not trying. That is not a battle. Don't battle that. That's normal. And if you go 3 minutes and just random thought, laugh at it, then come back to the Om.
Okay.
And it really does make it, when you get to it, and you feel the brain literally release the very pleasant chemicals of whenever it takes place. Usually mine is toward the end of the meditation. Your brain will I've never had a meditation where I am not, the majority of the time my thoughts are all over the place and they're bizarre and I laugh at them. And I never can predict what they'll be. I mean, it's just the most random stuff comes up. It's humorous most of the time because it's like, why is that even a thing for me? It's like,
seriously.
I really had to fight the urge the other morning. I mentioned Nepal because one of the things I plan on doing is there's this monastery in Nepal that after Justin leaves for college, I'm going to go spend 6 months there. I'm going to spend 6 months there. And just hang out. And I've already, looked at it. I mean, we're several years away from that, but that's one of my life goals thing. And then I started thinking, okay, what time's the flight leave for Nepal? Well, Justin is 7 years away from college or whatever that is, 6 years away. It's probably going to be a different time. So why is that even a thing?
Right.
But at the same time, I just, and it's okay. That's the part of this that makes the biggest, that's what was most freeing when I was able to implement this. I never thought I could meditate until I understood that is meditation. It is what meditation is. Your mind will go on road trips and it's part of the meditation. It's okay.
Yeah, you're right. That is a good way to look at it because when you understand that it is part of it, and that really, I think it's perhaps the greatest goal of meditation.
It takes the pressure off.
It not only takes the pressure off, but the goal of meditation literally is to just go through that process of noticing every time that your mind wanders. That is the purpose right there.
Yeah. Well, and I've often had thoughts in the middle of the meditation that I'm thinking, okay, that was actually helpful. I mean, most of them are bizarrely weird and funny. It's the book, and excuse me, ADD moment, just like my meditations, Stress Less and Accomplish More is the book by Emily Fletcher. It is by far the most it really does help to understand because she's the one that says, look, most people she describes it perfectly. She's the one that most people I work with a lot of professional athletes and most NFL players just their words when I tell them they're going to meditate, they just roll their eyes immediately.
Right.
Facts.
And so what we've come to, what they all are reporting is once I tell them, we're not fighting the mind wandering, we're incorporating it. It's part of the meditation. It's understanding how the brain works. The brain is not trying to it doesn't have the ability to stop. The idea that you can't stop your heartbeat, you can't stop these thoughts. The point is, when you realize it, whether it's 30 seconds or 3 minutes in or whatever, you bring yourself back to your mantra. You bring it back to and the mantra, everybody thinks that's a big deal. It's just you find a sound that you want it to have no meaning. Most Om or Ram, some people say one, but that has a meaning to me. But it's just some random sound. You think it over and over, and then it just comes back. So it's such an easy way. And the only reason I'm not even really caring about the meditation. First of all, there's a ton of stuff about how meditation helps with depression, anxiety, and thoughts, and sleep deprivation, but beyond meditation is when you meditate for 15 minutes. Her process, this book's process, is the meditation prepares you for the manifestation, because it's 15 minutes of meditation and then, a period of time. It could be any period of time of manifestation. And as we know, getting to the place of emotional vibration that we're trying to get, and there's no better way, because the meditation does allow you to access the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind then is in tune with the frequency that you want to do. It's an incredible, powerful tool together. It is manifestation. It is bypassing 90% of the problem of your traditional manifestation. So it does work. And I have to help. For me, I had that same thing for all these years. There's no way my brain will slow down. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
With that thought in mind, we're going to take 10 seconds to do a couple of announcements. First of all, if you're not yet a subscriber, this is the kind of stuff that you miss. We do this kind of thing normally 5 days a week. During the summer, it can be less. But most of the time, it's 5 days a week. And you can get all of it coming right to your smartphone. So become a subscriber. 85% of our listeners are subscribers. We're just talking to the other 10 to 15%. And to the 85% who haven't told their friends about it yet. So be sure that you subscribe just by going to loatoday.net and follow the instructions at the top of the page. They will walk you right through it. 30 seconds later, you're a subscriber. And then, of course, share the fact on social media, because we want other people to become subscribers of your Daily Dose of Happy as well. And on top of that, you can watch us as we're live streaming on YouTube. I'm going to my YouTube correspondent, Alex King, out in the field. Alex, how do we do YouTube out there in the field?
So what you want to do is go to YouTube and search LOA Today podcast videos. And once you've done that, you will see our smiling faces, and you click the subscribe button. And next to the subscribe button, there's a little tiny bell, and you hit that bell. And when you hit that bell, click always, so you will always be notified when we are live.
And by the way, for those who are our new fans of The Grass is Greener, and Joel, I will send you a link. I promise. I just haven't gotten to it. But for those who are subscribers and who are interested in when the second episode is coming out, it is coming out. Obviously, the death of our parent has impacted things, but we're planning to get back to it by the middle of August. So the distance between the first episode and the second episode is a lot longer than what we'd hoped it would be, but it is coming. So just be a little patient with us while we deal with
life
this time.
happens.
Life happens in the middle, yeah. But it's coming. It's definitely coming, and you will get notified. That's another reason to be a subscriber of LOA Today, because you will get notified when that second episode comes out. So there are our promos for the day. And Alex, before the show, you were talking about how you had something you wanted to bring up. This is probably a good time to do it. It's kind of like a shift in the topic for the show.
Shift in the breeze here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking of this morning when I was in the shower. I was like, you know what? People always ask, like, how, if I'm having a bad day, like, how do I get into a good place? Or if I'm trying to manifest something, like, how do I get to a higher vibration? And I always tell people, do what soothes your soul. So then I started thinking about, like, how, like, before we knew about law of attraction, like when we were kids and stuff, what did we do to soothe our souls? So I was just thinking, like, appease your inner child. So, like, what things did you do as a child to make yourself feel better and to vibrate a little higher?
And most often started with going outside.
Yeah,
that was almost always, whereas, something changed.
Yeah, I know, right?
Something was a little different.
Technology changed.
You weren't necessarily dealing with mom anymore. You could get away from mom for a little bit. And, you could go out and find a friend and, swing on a swing or something, depending on what your age was.
Yeah, ride bikes until you were blue in the face.
That's right.
Until the streetlights came on.
Kids are amazing in their ability to shift their vibration at will.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they were more recently in non-physical than we've been out of it longer.
Agreed.
But, there's just like this amazing ability. And Joel, I know you've talked about this a lot because you work with kids quite a bit. A lot of your pro bono work is working with kids who are in the system, so to speak, who are dealing with, what do you call it? Where the kids are taken away from their regular families and their foster care.
Foster care, yeah.
Yeah. And there's obviously a lot of trauma in that, so that's why you tend to work with particularly boys like that. And you see it all the time. You've told stories about how kids are just so resilient, and when they get the idea of how the law of attraction works, snap, just like that. They got it and they're running with it. It's amazing.
Well, and this is the thing that I first of all, I enjoy being able to work with that population. I like their energy, because, and you, Walton and I, you and I talked about this quite a bit over the years that, they're closer to source distance-wise or time-wise. And we can explain all that later, or, you can not, it doesn't matter, but they're less than a lot less things have happened in life to convince them that, to pull them away from that. So it's easier for them to get it. They don't have 20 years or 30 years or 40 years of programming telling them something differently.
Right.
So everything's possible to a 12-year-old.
Right.
And, one of the famous quotes that I love is, everyone is an artist until someone tells them they're not. Every kid's an artist.
Ooh, yes.
At some point, until somebody says, no, you suck. I have, and the world has really benefited by this in the end, but I will tell you this quick story. I was in the church choir when I was, 8 or 9, and I really would sing, and I thought I was such a good singer, and the lady who led the children's choir told me that, she said, you're messing everything up. Can you just move your mouth like you're singing?
Ooh.
Ouch.
And
burn.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, in the end, and again, society was served by that in the long run, but but what she did was, I never sang again. Yeah. I never did. I became self-conscious about it. I never went to choir again. I never sang again. I've done it in the car when there's nobody witnessing it, but I have a, a lot of people say you got a really strong, good voice, but it's not a singing voice. And I'm like, well, thank you. And it's not, but it's a good speaking voice. I do good, but so sure. I can look at the positive or negative with, but as things go forward, as you're a child and you're told these things that, become fact. And eventually by the time you're in your 20s, they have become your reality. And that's why people who live in poverty continue to live in poverty, is because that is what that's what they believe. They cannot comprehend that there's something on the other side of all that. It's just,
right.
And that becomes their reality. So it's that idea that your children are very receptive to the law of attraction and very receptive to the implementation of it because they're further away. And then when you're able to, like you're saying, whether it's placing yourself outside or things are happening and you're around different environments. But, that's why I'm fascinated and I can't do it long because I don't want to get caught up in the vibrational energy of it. But we've touched on this briefly. Someone who is born in Birmingham, Alabama can never understand the political beliefs of someone who is born in Harlem. They don't. They don't see the world the same way. Yeah. They were programmed entirely different. And they get frustrated with the other side because they think the other side they don't understand that they don't understand. And that's right. And so being able to step back and see both sides operate, well, if you could just point at the ones that take the time to understand the origins of what they went through, then you develop this lens. So this lens that has been developed is, again, the lens that you view the world through is how you're feeling about the world. It is, I have an amazing life. I have an abundance. I have great health. I cannot think of a thing that I even want anymore. I have every single thing that I want. I don't go around wanting things. Because it's automatic. If I have everything at my disposal, and now I've lived that with it for years ago. That was literally the opposite. All I did was lack, and I invited more lack. And the more lack I felt and focused on, the more I developed more of a lack. Well, I have an abundance, and the more abundance I have, I'm just always shocked. It's like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Or, I don't, and I'm not saying with arrogance. I'm just saying it's my perspective today has changed, and my reality is tied into that. So when you go way back, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but when every kid of my little kid of my generation back in the day, when the Rocky movies came out, you'd go see a Rocky movie, and then at the end of the movie, everybody's fired up. They wanted to go run and work out, and you would see that, or you would see culture change when something would happen. When E.T. came out, the movie E.T., and everybody's going around saying, phone home, all this. And Halloween costumes reflect, the cultural stuff of the time, because they place ourselves in that position. One of I am not a big TV person, and so I know, sorry. I find it very, very distracting. But one thing that, again, I do look at it from a cultural standpoint, and one thing that I do like is the show Stranger Things. The reason that it's so popular with so many people, first of all, it's a good show, I guess. But what it does, it really resonates with people who grew up in the 80s. If you grew up in the 80s, the show is accurately depicting the 80s. This last season showed a mall scene which literally reminded me of my my mid-teenage years. It just literally was my mid-teenage years. It was that same movie. It's like they put it in place. The stores, Spencer's Gifts, the stores that were in the stores that were in the mall when I was a teen were in the mall. They did a wonderful job of recreating the 80s. The show itself is irrelevant. It's what the show elicits within you. The reason reality shows stir is people are then sort of tuning into that, and it's how their relationship with it. And so that's where the power of all this exists. So it's what you get from. That's why generationally people, my son Justin, is like the Stranger Thing is stupid. It's just stupid.
Agreed.
Well, generationally, he's not getting the same thing. When I look at it, I'm thinking about a wonderful childhood I had. You know what I mean? And if you didn't have that experience to tune in with, you're going, this is not that good of a show. It's not that great. And it's not.
See, I disagree though. Cause I grew up in the 80s and I don't know. I didn't get that same feeling.
But you grew up in a different 80s than I did, probably.
Well, I mean, I thought there was only 10 of them, but okay.
Yeah. Well, we could get into multidimensional universe if you want. We won't do that because
we don't have time to marvel today.
Yeah, that will go all over the place. But no, my point is, it doesn't have to be that, but that's where a lot of people get tuned in with it. It's like everybody said, I really watch that show because I'm tuned into what my 13th year was like. I can literally get transported back into that to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't resonate with everyone. It doesn't resonate. I know one person in particular that had a very, very difficult childhood that watches that show and gets transported back to the very difficult childhood.
Yeah, so that's more of a trigger than enjoyment.
Exactly. Or, the sounds. One of the personal things that I share is, and this relates in the same way, it was a Saturday morning several years ago, and I got a call from my son's fiance, and she was telling me that he died in an accident the night before. And the ringtone that was on my phone, which she called at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
If I had to change my ringtone, and if I'm in public, it's a relatively common ringtone, I hear it, and it does elicit a response in me.
Yeah.
And it's a ringtone. It's a simple ringtone. It doesn't mean anything. And I logically know that, but I subconsciously equate that ringtone to the worst news I've ever heard in my life.
Right.
And so now I'm not trying to say it debilitates me or sends me out. It has an effect on me. It has a ring, in my head. And so I think that these, whether they're shows or whether we put in situations, you can do things. Walt has often talked about comedy lifting him up. I'm very much, I listen to, constant, books, audiobooks and motivational stuff. And I'm really into that stuff. I'm fascinated by that whole thing. Most people would be like, oh my God, that's so boring that you're doing that. I try to watch some of the popular shows, and I'm just like, okay, I just can't do this. I just can't. And that I'm not right or wrong. It's just the lens that I'm viewing it through. And, it's something that everyone could figure out these tools to help vibrate on the level you want, and it could go either direction. One of the things that I stopped doing a long time ago is when I saw the neuroscience behind it. I've always sort of been a fan of horror movies. It's like, okay, they're funny, or what? They weren't funny, intended to be funny, but sometimes they're funny, or, they have a little bit. But when I realized the neuroscience behind watching someone literally get their head chopped off in a movie, the subconscious doesn't sit there and go, oh, that's a movie. It's watching something pretty vile. So it gets stored. It gets back there. And so I stopped that. I turned that off. And I'm not some militant. You do what you need to do. It's your world. View the lens to you want to do it. I just said, for me, I don't incorporate. That's why I had to turn politics off years ago.
Yes.
Because my problem with politics, I support everybody's view. What I don't like is, here's an example. And again, I'm not getting political because I'm going to get both sides here. Bill Clinton was evil and bad, and what he did in the White House with that intern is just disgusting. Oh, but Trump's fine because he did this. He did the same thing. Right. But he's fine, or vice versa, on either side. If you were supporting Bill Clinton during his time and saying it was no big deal, but you're yelling at Trump because of his stuff and because you're on the other side, it's the inconsistency that drives me crazy.
Right.
If I'd like the ability to be able to look at any of the politicians and be able to say, here's their strengths, here's their weaknesses, here's what they've done well, and here's what they've done poorly. But politics isn't about that. It's about creating a narrative where your person is the right fighter. The reality is almost everyone in politics has a narcissistic view of the world. They generally don't really believe what they say, and they're there for power for themselves for the most part.
Yes.
And they say what they need to do to get elected. And those are the things that drive me crazy with it. So I don't watch that. But I also have friends, again, on either side who will watch the politics and then rant how, I have my hardcore Republican friends that are talking about how ridiculous the Democratic thing, or on the other hand, I'll see people that will watch a Trump speech and go, how crazy or narcissistic he is. And I'm going, why are you watching it when you know what it's going to elicit in you?
Yep.
That's just it. That's it right there. And in fact, this to me is the core of Alex's topic, because Alex raised the question about what is it that you do when you're a kid. Kids, I don't think that kids even do this consciously, but they're so good. They're really good at saying, I like that, I don't like that, so I'm not going to pay attention to that, I'm only going to pay attention to that.
Exactly.
It's really clear cut. It's really clean. And somewhere along the line, as we're growing up, we kind of get this idea that, well, okay, yeah, I really don't like that, but I think I need to pay more attention to it. Little inside says, what are you doing?
Right. Well, and that was the point of exactly that. And you summed it up nicely, because when we're children, we are told, we tell ourselves, okay, I'm not interested in the silliness. It doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't, we don't use resonate as the word, but I don't like it. I don't like how it makes me feel. It's just boring. I'm not going to sit here and watch this. But as adults, it's almost like we become invested in a side, and then we enjoy, or not enjoy we must enjoy it because we do it. We get offended. We go get offended. I cannot, but because politics works on fear. So they tell you that your side is being attacked by the other side.
Right.
One of my dear friends is a counselor here in town, and we've worked together closely, and she's a lesbian, and we've been really, really good friends for a long time. And so when all this political stuff started, and there was a lot of talk and a lot of negative stuff about homosexuality and this big argument going on. And she said, I feel very unsafe now. And I'm going, really? Because nothing's changed.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's changed in your orbit. You have the same wonderful practice. She has a waiting list of people wanting to go to her. She's very respected in our community. And they're the same place we always go to have lunch together. Nobody has changed. Nothing has changed for her. But again, she's watching the news and owning all that stuff that's going on. And so we did a lot of work around, don't be affected by this. Don't be driven by that narrative that it's not really, it is what the topic is now. And it's not your reality. And you get a lot of people seeing something like that, and it becomes their reality. Children are wonderful in the beginning before all the influences happen and what they start, they in the beginning, they're very good about not allowing that to happen. Yes. In the teenage years, when being the norm and being accepted, it becomes the main driving factor in middle school, that's when the big change happens, and it becomes harder the further you get into that. Then you start performing like a circus monkey to perform like all the other kids. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I told a story last week where I lost the 5th grade one time. Yeah. Where we were on a tour. We lost the entire, I lost the entire 5th grade, first of all, because I wasn't paying attention. But second, I lost the 5th grade because every single 5th grader looked exactly the same. They had the same, Nike shoes, the same Nike shorts, and the same type of shirt and the same haircuts, and the girls and the boys, the groups all looked the same. They were nondescript. And I'm going, oh, wow. And, not trying to not own the fact that I'm the one that lost the 5th grade, but beyond that, that was a contributing factor that the 5th grade looked the same as every other 5th grade that was there. And it's like, because you see the influence on that. And I think it's much worse now. Worse is a relative term, but I think it's more prevalent now because it used to be local influences, but because of social media and their connection on the internet and Fortnite and all the gaming that takes place, you have more of a national influence than regional influences that used to take place. But at the same time, you see that. So children have always been able to do this better than adults or be more effective at it. The further 12-year-olds never, I can get, 25 to 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds in my office, and it takes forever to really get them to understand if they're going to continue anyway. But a lot of times they won't continue. 12-year-olds are like, one says, oh yeah, that's right. You're right. Okay. Instantly, let's change everything. Yeah. And they're incredibly effective at it because they have that ability to use the tools around them to see it differently. We have, as the further we get away from that, we're taught that's wrong.
That's exactly it. And in fact, as we go through that maturation process through the system, as I will refer to it, as we go through the system, there's an interesting dynamic that happens. Because on the one hand, like you said, everybody dresses the same. They all talk the same. Everybody becomes like a mirror image of every other kid in the class. But at the same time, they all find one little thing to do to differentiate themselves. So they have both influences going on at the same time. On the one hand, they all have to conform. They all feel a very strong drive to conform. And by the way, the school system may not do this as a matter of policy, but they encourage that conformity because that's what they want. Conformity is how they maintain order. And
uniforms.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So you've got that one dynamic going on, but at the same time, you have like the person who puts the red feather in their hair different from everybody else. They've got the Nike shorts, they got the Nike sneakers, but they got the red feather.
Yeah.
And to me, that speaks to the resilience of the kid. Because when the kid is so resilient, that kid is also, it's a kid who just is not going to be beaten down, even though they're being beaten down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was me in high school.
Completely.
Yeah.
Well,
I was.
Well, you'll see. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, and that's the thing that you're talking about. I love this that we're there because we have this push pull.
Mm-hmm.
It's an attract. I think in middle school we're all seeking literally the middle. We want to be in the middle, and then as you get toward high school, you're able to become more yourself. And by your senior year, it's like, oh, I don't even like these people. I'll never see them again. I mean, it's like you. In elementary school, you're learning. It's like whatever. Everything's fascinating. In middle school, it's like I got to do whatever I have to do to be like everybody else. And in high school, it's like, we evolve beyond that. Say, if I don't see these people again, because of some weird stuff that in my world, my addiction and where my life went, I didn't get to my 10-year reunion, but I was able to get to my 20-year class reunion. And I'll be honest with you, that's all I needed. I'm and no disrespect.
I'm with you.
No disrespect whatsoever. I really have great respect for my classmates, but I realized about halfway through looking around, I have nothing in common here. Nothing. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. But there was a time when that group of people's opinion was absolutely the most important thing on the planet.
Right.
And at this point, it was simply, they're nice people and we can, and they don't particularly, I'm saying that, I'm sure they were saying, Joel's just gotten crazy. Joel is absolutely crazy now. Whatever he's on, it doesn't, I'm sure they were not impressed whatsoever.
And by the way, they were right. I mean, which is a good thing. Crazy. I only want to hang out with crazy people. I don't really like sane people.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why we're free.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it just, because of everything that happened, I'm just more comfortable with, the people who have struggled and been through a lot of stuff and had some awakenings. And, I love to be able to discuss things like we do and have varying opinions I have people that you cannot discuss religion with whatsoever because they literally just start screaming and raise hell over it. It's like versus I want to talk about it and get your opinion, but when you're like, well, no, you're wrong. Here's what's right because this is what my Sunday school teacher said. That was where he's molested poor children. I mean, of course, but it's that thing that you hear going, you just cringe. You're like, not that they're not entitled to their view, but their view is based on very little self-discovery, and they're stuck on what they were told. And that's sort of what I look at is how much of this has been learned, and how much did you go seek, and how much of it was just dictated to you. And I told one friend that really pissed him off was, I said, I just think it's so fortunate you were born into the exact perfect religion. Thank God. Wow. I said,
I love it.
Yeah. I said, that's awesome. And he's like, wow. I said, those poor Muslims, they were really screwed in that deal. They were born into the wrong one. And it's just, but their perspective, again, Walt, LOA today.net. Just throw that over there. So,
the hate mail is coming in.
Yeah, but you get my point. So that's exactly what Alex is talking about. In my opinion, is that we can find the tool if you can use the same tools as you did. I'm trying to think of there's moments when I was a kid. We'd be on the beach all day, or we would be, the restaurants we'd go to at the beach, always had fun food. I have these great memories of my childhood, feeling good about where we're at. And we'd build sandcastles. We'd have, dirt ball fights. You didn't need, the idea if you were to be made to come inside, that would just have been punishment versus, today it's like, well, get out of the house. I have many of my friends live on the very same island that I spent all my summers on. And I can't imagine living on Anna Maria Island and spending the entire day inside when you're 13 playing Fortnite. I just can't. It's just, it's fascinating to me that they do that because we literally, we weren't allowed out until 9 a.m. and we had to come in, we usually came in when we were about to pass out from exhaustion. We had a blast living there. I look at that as incredible time. And, because you're out there, you're touching, we would go collect starfish. We'd go build boats. One day we collected something like 700 coconuts and we're going to build a house out of coconuts. And,
goodness.
Yeah, we collected them, and then I don't even know what. We'd set off on one plan and then go to another direction pretty quickly. But we would fish for hours. All good memories. So if I want to get into that mindset, I can mentally look at pictures of that island and remember and tune into that. And I use that as a tool to get me to that childlike feeling, which allows me to be very open to the law of attraction. Those are tools that you can do to this day. Find things that you really enjoy. Find shows you really like to watch. Find music and accept that everybody will do this differently because perspectives are me being able, I'm trying to think of some of these, here's a great example. This is dating, this is telling how old we are. My sister used to love, her favorite movie, if I call her right now, text her right now, what's your favorite movie? I'll text you, go The Breakfast Club. That'll be her favorite movie of all time. Okay? And the idea of me sitting through the entire Breakfast Club movie is literally, I would rather have, a colonoscopy with no, it is mind-numbingly annoying to me, and it is her favorite movie of all time. And again, it's about a perspective. That movie elicits good feelings to her. That movie is, to me, I just want to run. I want to throw up. I want to get away. Both strong emotions, but it's how it's interpreted. And that's why we have with the law of attraction. There isn't a simple way for everyone to get there, but there's multiple ways, and you have to figure out the stuff that works for you.
That's right. Yeah. And we aren't really addressing the question the way you had in mind, Alex, but we are addressing it in a really interesting way.
Oh, no, it works. It works.
Yeah, because what we're really talking about here is not just the power, but also the freedom to choose.
Yes.
And when kids have that power and freedom to choose, first of all, they assume it until they're talked out of it. But when they have that power, they are super beings.
Basically.
Right.
And they're able to recover from the most dire circumstance quickly. They can choose where they want to go quickly. They can pick up something like law of attraction teaching quickly. They just, everything happens quickly because they have a very strong sense of themselves, of what they prefer, and they really want to stick with what they like, what they prefer. They really don't want to swim a whole lot of time in that I don't prefer stuff. It isn't until you get socialized that you start to say, well, I think I need to spend more time. I got to start fixing this society. This society's messed up. I got to become political. I got to go out there and I got to join a nonprofit organization. I got to save the earth. I got to do all this stuff. No, actually, you really don't.
No.
And that to me is the real lesson that kids give us. Kids are wonderful. They truly are super beings.
And that's why I enjoy being around their energy. It's not only do I like working with them, be able to help, but I relate to that energy so much better. I love the perspective of a 12-year-old just because their energy is everything is simple. One of my friends is a registered nurse. She has a master's in nursing. She's really good, and her son is 12. And I was over one night. We were just all talking. I'm really encouraging her into becoming a nurse practitioner. It's the next step. You know what I mean? It's a 2-year program, and she has to apply. And so I said, I don't know why you don't do this. It's a perfect time to do it. Her employer will pay for it. It's a no-brainer in my mind. And so she said, well, I said, well, what's stopping you? And she goes, and the kid's sitting there, and she goes, well, I have to, apply to it, and then I have to go to 2 years of school, and then I have to take the boards, and I have to do this. And the kid goes, Mom, that's 3 things.
I mean,
and he's right. Yeah, he's right. It's 3 things. It's 3 things. And he's like, he said, I have a model I put together that was like 10 things. So you got like 3 things to do. And, it's not a good excuse. And we all laughed and he laughed but he's right. It's 3 things.
Yeah.
But the way she it's 3 things. I mean, admittedly, there are 3 big things she has to do. But and she's doing it, by the way. It sort of helped.
Good for her.
She was able to hear it from his perspective and said, why in the hell am I not doing it? There's 0 reason not to do it, except I've just been conditioned to think that's hard. And even if it doesn't, she makes really good money now. I don't know if she's going to make a whole lot more money. That's not even the point. It's the fact that why wouldn't you take this next level? It's there. It's free. It's exciting. Why wouldn't you take it?
Right.
And it when you vibrate on that level, and that's the beauty part of it.
It's one of the great parts of Abraham Hicks' teaching. And it's a part I am still learning. As simple as the concept is, I am still learning, because the concept that they teach is the only reason things become hard, the only reason we end up focusing on stuff we don't like, the only reason that we end up experiencing things that we don't enjoy, the only reason we keep doing all this stuff is because of where we focus. And that's it. It is the only reason.
Right.
But we justify stuff like that in terms of, oh, well, it'd be so much work, and I don't know, I don't have enough time in the day, and there's millions of things to do, and we just come up with all these justifications. And all it really comes down to is, I'm just focusing on what I don't like.
Right.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And when you break it down, one of my clients the other day, and he's had some issues with sort of just getting life going, and he's in his apartment a lot. So I meet him at his apartment, and so we work together on just trying to get his life going. So after hearing all the reasons why life wasn't working for him, and focusing on what he doesn't want or doesn't, what he doesn't like and all of that, I said, look, what's it going to take to get this taken care of? And how are we going to be able to move forward? What are we going to be able to do? And so I just randomly showed up one day. And part of the thing his house was cluttered, and I'm not saying it was dirty, it's just cluttered, junk all over the place, and he needed to do some dishes. So I showed up, and last time there he didn't have any dish soap. I showed up with a broom and a bottle of dish soap, and within 15 minutes we were done.
Wow.
He's like, oh my God, I have been sitting here for a month and can't get that 15 minutes worth of work done, because we get so stuck on what doesn't work.
Yes.
One of the things that I used to get on Walt about this is hilarious to me. Walt loves to plan and discuss and do metrics, and I don't even know what metrics are, but he does metrics and he does some research about metrics, and then he looks at the metrics of the metrics. That's Walt. And so I'm like, Walt, you got to take action into this, and I'm the guy that I jump into the pool and on the way down go, I really hope there's some water. I really do. And so, and Walt not only makes sure the water's there, he chlorinates it, he tests the temperature, he sends it off for double blind verification, then he jumps in the pool. So Walt, one day randomly, out of nowhere, he goes, I want to do a show every day. I'm like, what? Where do they even come from? That was just, it was so awesome. But he took LOA today, and he just randomly did out of nowhere. And in what normally would be about a 7-year Walt decision, he made overnight.
He also did the same thing with the graphic designer. He was like, we're going to take this and we're going to run with it. I mean, he needed a little help from me, but he was like, well, okay, so there's certain ways to do this. I got to do the research. I was like, well, let's just do it. I was like, I have the idea. Yeah. Let's just write it. Let's just get it done. So, and then everything that was slowly, but yeah.
Right. Well, and the beauty of it is that ability to, sort of, and that's where I give Walt great credit, that ability to change. There's personality stuff that we develop over years. And so the ability to change the way you approach it. But sometimes, and also you do need both sides. You need somebody to, my skill set can clearly get you in some trouble too when you just keep, yeah, let's do that. But the last company that I've had a period of time, there's this new addiction treatment center here in Richmond that opened up, and I was an investor in it. I am an investor in it, and they asked me to be CEO of it for a little while. And they asked me to be CEO of it, and I realized after about a couple of weeks, I didn't want to be CEO of it. I didn't want to, because the energy of the owner of the company, he was very, he liked to have, he wanted a meeting every day about something, and we would have the same meeting over and over with a different thing. We want to talk about and I was about, let's just do it. If you meet more than once, you're not doing it right. You got to just do it. And so we clashed a lot in performance. It's just our skill sets didn't match, and so I left. We're good friends, and it was clear that I didn't want to be that our energies weren't going to match. And at the end of the day, he was the founder, so he was going to win, and his skill set was going to be the one that was going to be pervasive. So I just chose not to be around that energy because it didn't match where I needed to be or what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for the practical demonstration on how to manifest therapy without having to pay for it. It was a really great experience. Before we go, I'd like to invite Joel to tell people how to reach out to Joel in case they want to get therapy without having to pay for it. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, my email address, simplest way, is joelelston@gmail.com.
There you go. Very simple. Any spoilers we need to know about? I mean, Joel doesn't because he doesn't watch TV, but
apparently, the things I didn't know about my co-host. Well, a lot of the shows have gone back to taping. So the new seasons will be coming out in the fall, and the series finale of The Bachelorette was Tuesday, and the series finale, not the series finale of The Bachelorette, season finale of The Bachelorette. And the series finale of Jane the Virgin was last night. So.
Okay. All right. So not exactly a spoiler, but a little piece of news.
Little tidbit.
Yeah, there you go. So, well, I'm looking forward to meeting with you tomorrow, Alex.
I'm so excited.
We're going to be doing lunch together. This is going to be great.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So looking forward to that. Joel, I know that we actually did talk to you last week, so I'm going to say I look forward to talking to you again next week, and I promise I will not say it's good to talk to you again.
Okay, well, I mean, just unless I was gone, metaphorically, then you can always say welcome back.
But Joel, you're always gone. Even when you're here, you're gone. I mean, you just go off in all these different directions. You're gone constantly. That's the joy of Joel right there.
I love it. Thank you so much. You guys have a great week.
You too. And we thank all of our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.